Zach Moore never expected to inherit anything from his Uncle Daniel. The 19-year-old worked at the local grocery store in his small town of Pine Ridge. He stocked shelves during the day and sometimes helped with deliveries. His life was simple, but he had dreams of saving enough money for community college one day. His parents had moved to another state for work, leaving Zach to stay behind in the only town he ever knew. He lived in a small apartment above the hardware store paying rent to old Mr. Wilson, who owned the building. Zach had little contact with his Uncle Daniel, who everyone in town considered strange. Uncle Daniel lived alone in a cabin in the woods and rarely came into town. People said he was obsessed with stars and space. So when Zach got a call from a lawyer saying he needed to come to an office in town, he was confused. He took time off work and walked to the small office building on Main Street. The lawyer was a thin man with glasses who looked nervous when Zach entered. "Please sit down, Mr. Moore," the lawyer said. "Your Uncle Daniel passed away last week." Zach felt a pang of sadness, even though he barely knew his uncle. He remembered visiting the cabin once as a child, his uncle showing him a telescope pointing out constellations and planets. "I am sorry to hear that," Zach said. The lawyer nodded and opened a folder on his desk. "Your uncle left everything to you, Mr. Moore. There was no one else in his family. He wanted to give his belongings." To Zach was surprised. His uncle had never shown much interest in him. "What did he leave?" The lawyer listed the items: a cabin on 20 acres of land outside town, $50,000 in a bank account, some scientific equipment, and then the lawyer paused, looking even more nervous. "And this?" the lawyer said, pushing a strange metal object across the desk. "It looks like some kind of device. Your uncle left specific instructions that you should have this." Zach picked up the object. It was silver with strange symbols etched into its surface. It had a small button on one side. It felt warm in his hand, almost like it had its own energy. "Your uncle left this letter for you as well," the lawyer said, handing over an envelope. Zach opened it and read. The short note: "Dear nephew, if you are reading this, I have passed on the cabin and money are yours to do with as you wish. But the device is special. Press the button when you are alone at the cabin. Trust me when I say this will change everything. I know we were not close, but you are the only one I trust with this responsibility. Be brave. Zach, your Uncle Daniel." Zach folded the letter and put it in his pocket along with the device. What was his uncle involved in? What made the lawyer so nervous when handling the device that weekend? Zach borrowed his friend Paula's car and drove to the cabin. He had not been there since he was a child. The dirt road leading to it was overgrown, but still passable. The cabin itself looked solid. A simple 2-story wooden structure, surrounded by tall pine trees. Zach unlocked the door and stepped inside. Everything was covered in a layer of dust. His uncle had clearly been sick for some time before passing. The main room had a fireplace with a couch and chairs. There were bookshelves, filled with books about astronomy, physics, and surprisingly science fiction. Zach spent hours cleaning, finding food in the cupboards that was still good, making the place livable. He found his uncle's bedroom upstairs, a simple room with a bed dresser and more books. The windows looked out over the forest. It was getting dark when Zach finally sat down on the couch, remembering the device. He took it from his pocket, examining it again in the dim light. The symbols seemed to shift as he turned it. In his hand, he took a deep breath and pressed the button. Nothing happened at first. Zach pressed it again. Still nothing. He sighed, feeling foolish. Maybe it was just some strange paperweight or broken gadget his uncle collected. Then he felt it, a vibration, coming through the floor. The lights flickered. A low humming sound began growing louder. Zach stood up, heart beating fast. The wooden floor in front of the fireplace began to move. A large section slid aside, revealing a staircase leading down. Lights automatically came on below, illuminating what looked like a metal hallway. Zach hesitated. Should he go down? Was this some kind of bunker his uncle built? The humming sound continued, steady and somehow calming. Gathering his courage, Zach began to descend the stairs. The hidden basement was larger than the cabin itself. Metal wall, ceiling, and floor created a space that looked nothing like the rustic cabin above. This looked like something from a science fiction movie. Computer screens lined one wall showing diagrams and symbols similar to those on the device. Strange machines hummed quietly in the corners, but what caught Zach's attention was in the center of the room, a large glass tube filled with bluish liquid, and floating in that liquid was a woman. No, Zach realized as he moved closer. Not a human woman. Her skin was pale purple with a slight shimmer. Her ears were pointed and longer than human ears. Her closed eyes seemed larger, set in a face that was beautiful, but clearly not human. Her fingers floating in the liquid were too long with extra joints. Zach stood frozen. Was this real? Was he dreaming? Had his uncle been keeping an alien in his basement as? If responding to his thoughts, the tube began to change. The blue liquid drained away. The glass lifted. The alien woman opened her eyes. They glowed amber in the dim light. She stepped forward, unsteady at first, water dripping from her slim body. She was wearing what looked like a silver bodysuit that covered her completely. Mira. She spoke directly into his mind without moving her lips. I have waited for Daniel to return, but I sense he is gone. You are his blood relative. I feel the connection. You are his nephew. Yes. Zach managed to say, his voice shaking. I am, Zach. His uncle left him an alien. How was this possible? Your uncle saved my life, Mira said, finding her physical voice now. It had an unusual musical quality. Her English was perfect, but with an accent he could not place. My ship crashed near this. Location 5. Earth years ago. The others of my crew died. I was badly injured. Daniel found me. He brought me here, healed me, protected me from your government agencies. Zach tried to process this information. His eccentric uncle had been hiding an alien for years. No wonder he rarely came to town. No wonder people thought he was strange. But why did he hide you? Why not tell someone? Zach asked. Mira tilted her head, studying him. Your governments would take me, experiment on me, learn about my technology, before my people are ready for official contact. Your uncle understood this. He was a wise man. He promised to help me contact my people, but we needed time and resources to build a proper communication device. I don't understand. Zach said. Why would he leave you to me? I barely knew him. You have a kind heart like him, Mira replied, stepping closer to examine Zach. He told me about you. He said you were trustworthy, that you would help me if something happened to him. Zach ran his hands through his hair, trying to make sense of everything. His simple life had just become very complicated. What am I supposed to do now? Help me finish what Daniel started, Mira said. The device you carry is part of a communication system we were building together. With it I can contact my people. They can bring me home. What about the money he left? Zach asked for materials. We need special components to complete the device. Daniel knew this might be expensive. Zach paced around the room looking at the technology. Surrounding him, it was far beyond anything he had ever seen. This was real. An actual alien standing in front of him. The universe suddenly seemed much bigger and more complicated. Mira watched him with those strange amber eyes. I understand this is difficult to accept, she said. I felt the same when I first encountered humans. You are not what my people expected. Zach stopped pacing and faced her. What did your people expect? She smiled, a very human expression on her non-human face. We thought humans would be more aggressive, more primitive. But Daniel showed me kindness, intelligence, curiosity. These are traits my people value. I am just a grocery store clerk. Zach said. I don't know anything about advanced technology or communication devices. Daniel left notes, Mira said, gesturing to one of the computer screens. Everything we need to know is there. He prepared for this possibility. Zach took a deep breath. His life had changed completely in a matter of minutes, but something about Mira made him want to help her. Maybe it was the way she spoke of his uncle with respect and fondness. Maybe it was the adventure of it all, or maybe it was simply because she needed him. Okay, he said, I will help you, But this stays between us. If what you say is true about the government, I don't want men in black suits showing up here." Mira nodded, her expression serious. "Thank you, Zach. The sooner we complete the device, the sooner I can go home, and the sooner your life can return to normal." But as Zach looked around the hidden laboratory at the alien woman standing before him, he knew his life would never be normal again. And strangely, he was okay with that. The next morning, Zach woke up disoriented. For a moment, he thought he was in his apartment above the hardware store. Then he remembered he was in his uncle's cabin, and there was an alien woman named Mira, hidden in a secret laboratory beneath the floor. He got out of bed and pulled on his clothes, wondering if it had all been a dream. He went downstairs to the main room. The floor appeared normal with no sign of the hidden entrance. Zach looked for the device his uncle had left him finding it on the coffee table. He pressed the button and once again the floor slid open, revealing the staircase. Zach descended into the laboratory to find Mira already working at one of the computer stations. Her purple fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. She looked up when she heard him. "Good morning, Zach," she said. "I hope you slept well. I have been reviewing your uncle's notes on the communication device. We will need several components that are not here." Zach nodded, still adjusting to the reality of talking to an actual alien. "What do we need?" he asked. Mira showed him a list on the screen. Several electronic parts, special metals, and something called a quantum resonator. Daniel had suppliers for most of these items, but we will need to contact them discreetly, so I just call these people and order alien technology parts," Zach said. Mira smiled. "Your uncle had a system. He would order parts claiming they were for astronomy equipment or research projects. The suppliers never knew the true purpose." Zach looked at the estimated costs. Next to each item was a dollar amount. The total came to just over $40,000. "So that's why he left me the money." "Indeed," Mira confirmed. "He knew completing the device would be expensive." "How long will it take to build this thing?" Zach asked. "With the right parts, perhaps 2 weeks," Mira said. "But there is something else we must consider." What Mira touched the screen, bringing up a new image. It showed what looked like satellite photos of the area around the cabin. "These were taken by your government satellites. Daniel monitored them to ensure our activities remained undetected. But in the last month before he became ill, he noticed increased surveillance. His condition prevented him from investigating further." Zach leaned closer to the screen. "Someone was watching this place." "It appears so," Mira said. "We must be cautious when leaving the cabin or making contact with suppliers." Zach felt a chill. Who would be watching? His uncle was just an eccentric old man as far as anyone in town knew. Unless someone suspected about Mira. "I need to go to town," Zach said. "I need to get food and call these suppliers, but I can't leave you alone here if someone might be watching. I have remained hidden here for 5 years," Mira assured him. "I can continue to do so. The laboratory has sensors that will alert me if anyone approaches the cabin." Zach wasn't convinced. "Look, I need to know more about you and why you're here. What were you doing when your ship crashed?" Mira sighed and sat down in one of the chairs. "My people, the Lairani, have been observing Earth for centuries. We never interfere directly. We study, learn, understand. Our ship was on a routine mission to study your atmosphere. There was a malfunction. Our cloaking system failed. Our ship became visible to your tracking systems. We crashed trying to evade detection, and the others died, yes," Mira said sadly. "There were 4 of us. 3 died in the crash. I was severely injured. Daniel found me in the wreckage. He could have turned me over to your authorities. Many humans would have. But he chose to help me. He brought me here, built this facility, helped me heal." "Why would he do that?" Zach asked. Mira smiled. "Your uncle was a remarkable man. He was a physicist who left his career because he believed your governments were suppressing knowledge about other intelligent life. He wanted proof. He found it in me. But more than that, he found a friend. We spent many hours discussing our worlds, our sciences, our philosophies." Zach tried to imagine his uncle having deep conversations with an alien. It seemed surreal. "And now you're stuck here, Only until we complete the communication device. Mira said, once I contact my people, they will send a ship to retrieve me. And then what will they talk to our governments? Tell everyone you've been here. That decision will be made by our council. Mira explained. The timing of official contact with Earth is a complex matter. Your world is divided. Your technology is advancing rapidly, but your societies are still fragmented. Some of your nations would use our technology for weapons. This concerns us. Zack nodded, understanding the problem. Then he had a thought. If your people have been watching us for centuries, are there other aliens here? Others like you? Mira hesitated. There are other observer teams, yes, but I cannot reveal their locations or missions. That information is classified. Great. Zack muttered. There could be aliens all over Earth, and nobody knows, few in number, Mira assured him. And all under strict orders not to interfere. We are scientists, not invaders. Zack stood up, pacing around the lab. I need to process all this. It's a lot to take in. I have to go to town, get some supplies, make some calls. Mira nodded. I understand this is overwhelming for you. Your uncle had years to adjust to my presence. You have had less than a day. Zack took the list of suppliers and headed upstairs. He borrowed Paula's car again and drove to town, his mind racing with questions. Would anyone believe him if he told them? Could he trust Mira? What would happen when she contacted her people? In town, Zack bought groceries enough for at least a week. He found a payphone and called the suppliers on the list using the exact wording his uncle had used in his notes. They all seemed to recognize the requests. Two of them mentioned they were sorry to hear about Daniel Moore. The parts would be shipped to a post office box in town. Within days, Zack was walking back to the car when he noticed a black SUV parked across the street. Two men in suits sat inside watching him. Or was he just being paranoid now? Zack hurried to the car and drove back to the cabin, taking a longer route, checking his mirror frequently to see if anyone followed him. When he returned, Mira was waiting. She had come upstairs and was looking out the window. She seemed fascinated by the forest around the cabin. On my world, we have few forests left, she explained. Trees were sacrificed for development long ago. We grow them now in special habitats, but nothing like this. Nothing so wild and free. Zack put the groceries away, watching her. It's strange, you look almost human. But you're so different. Our species evolved along similar paths, Mira said. It is not uncommon in the universe. Certain forms are efficient for intelligent life. But yes, there are differences. My people live much longer than humans. Our technology is more advanced. But we have lost some things too. Our connection to nature. Our sense of wonder. Sometimes I think humans have advantages we have forgotten. Zack smiled. I don't feel very advanced right now. I feel completely out of my depth. That is understandable, Mira said. But your uncle believed in. Yui said you had an open mind and a good heart. Those qualities matter more than technical knowledge. Over the next few days, they fell into a routine. Zack would check the post office box in town for delivered parts. While he was gone, Mira studied his uncle's notes and prepared the laboratory. Sometimes when he returned, he would find her upstairs exploring the cabin, examining books, or looking out the windows. She was curious about everything. Human food, music, art, emotions. She asked endless questions. Zack found himself enjoying their conversations. Her perspective made him see his own world differently. Through her eyes, ordinary things became extraordinary. The quantum resonator was the last part to arrive. A small device that cost nearly $15,000. Zack picked it up from the post office and drove back to the cabin, excited that they might soon complete the communication device. But as he turned onto the dirt road leading to the cabin, he noticed tire tracks that were not his own. Someone had been there. Zack parked some distance from the cabin and approached on foot, his heart pounding. He moved quietly through the trees until he could see the building. There was no vehicle in sight, but the front door was slightly open. He was certain he had closed it. Mira, he whispered, hoping she was safe. Hoping she had hidden herself, he crept closer, moving from tree to tree. Then he saw them, two men in black suits coming out of the cabin. They were talking into radios. They looked frustrated. No sign of anyone, but there are indications someone is staying here. One said, "We should place surveillance equipment." Zach froze. Government agents. Had they found the hidden laboratory, would they come back with more people with equipment that could detect Mira? The men got into a black SUV parked on the other side of the cabin, the same one Zach had seen in town. He waited until they drove away before rushing to the cabin. He pressed the button on the device. The floor slid open. "Mira," he called, hurrying down the stairs. She emerged from behind one of the large machines. They did not find the laboratory entrance. She said, "The cloaking technology prevents detection. The entrance appears as solid floor even to scanning equipment. But they suspect something. They will return. We need to finish the device now." Zach said, "I have the quantum resonator." Mira's eyes widened. "That is the final component we need. We can begin assembly immediately." They worked through the night, Zach following. Mira's instructions, connecting parts, adjusting settings. The completed device looked like a small satellite dish connected to a control panel with the symbols that matched those on the activation device his uncle had left him. By morning it was finished. Mira made final adjustments. "We must test it outside," she said. "The signal cannot penetrate the laboratory shielding." "But those agents could come back anytime," Zach said. The waiting was the hardest part. Zach paced around the laboratory while Mira monitored the communication device. They had been waiting for nearly 20 hours with no response from her people. The tension made Zach nervous. What if they don't receive your signal? He asked. "They will," Mira assured him. "The quantum resonator ensures the signal can travel through subspace. It might take time, but they will receive it. And if those government agents come back before then, we must avoid detection." Mira said, "Simply postpone their investigation until my people arrive." "Easy for you to say," Zach muttered. Those guys looked serious, like they knew something was up. Mira looked thoughtful. "Your uncle mentioned a contingency plan if authorities became suspicious." She moved to one of the computer terminals and brought up a file. It contained detailed instructions. "According to this, if government agents approach, we should activate this." She pointed to what looked like a small remote control. "It will create a diversion on the other side of the forest. A magnetic pulse that will appear on their instruments like a small spacecraft landing. It should draw them away long enough for extraction to occur." Zach picked up the device. "Your uncle thought of everything. He was thorough." Mira agreed. He understood the risks from the beginning. Zach sat down on one of the laboratory chairs. "Tell me more about your world," he said. "We have time to kill, and I want to know." Mira smiled. "My homeworld. Lyrax orbits a star you cannot see from Earth. It is somewhat larger than your planet with 2 moons. Our civilization is much older than yours. We achieved space travel 8,000 of your Earth years ago. That's incredible," Zach said. "What does it look like?" "Your world. There are fast cities connected by transport tubes," Mira explained. "Most of our population lives in urban centers. Our technology is clean. We do not pollute as humans do. But as I mentioned, we have lost much of our natural environment. Our oceans are carefully managed, our weather is controlled." "It sounds perfect," Zach said. "Not perfect," Mira corrected. "With age comes different problems. Our society has become rigid in some ways. Tradition and protocol dictate much of our lives. Innovation happens more slowly. Everyone has a role assigned based on aptitude. Many Lirani never leave their birth city, let alone visit other worlds. So you're unusual then. Going on space missions. I am part of the Explorer Division," Mira said with pride. "We are selected for curiosity, adaptability, and independence, traits not common among my people. Most Lirani prefer predictability and routine." Just then a light began blinking on the communication device. Mira rushed to it, her fingers dancing across the controls. Her face lit up. "With excitement, they have received my signal," she said. "They are responding." Zach moved closer. "What are they saying?" Mira listened, her head tilted as if hearing something Zach could not. They are sending a retrieval vessel. It will arrive within 6 hours. They are pleased I survived. They thought all crew members perished. Zach felt a mix of emotions. Relief that help was coming for Mira. Sadness that she would leave, anxiety about what would happen next. 6 hours, he said. We need to be careful. Until then. Mira nodded. The most dangerous time is now. She checked the monitors. The security systems your uncle installed show no activity near the cabin, but we should prepare for their return. They will have detected the signal. They gathered essential items from the laboratory. Mira downloaded data from the computers onto portable devices. Zach packed a small bag with food and water just in case they brought the diversion device upstairs and waited. 4 hours passed with no sign of the government. Agents Zach began to hope they might get through this without confrontation. Then the security system beeped. A warning flashed on Mira's portable screen. 3 vehicles approaching from the main road, she said. They will be here in minutes. Zach looked out the window and saw dust rising from the dirt road in the distance. We need to use the diversion now, he said. Mira activated the device. A small drone launched from a hidden compartment on the cabin roof. It flew rapidly away from them toward the distant hills. Seconds later, the monitors showed a large electromagnetic pulse activating miles away. The approaching vehicles changed direction, their dust trails turning toward the false signal. Mira smiled. It worked. They are investigating the diversion, but it will not fool them for long. We must move to the extraction point. Where is that? Zach asked. According to my people's instructions, we must reach open ground away from trees, a clearing 2 miles north of here. My ship will land there. They left, the cabin moving quickly through the forest. Mira led the way, seeming to know exactly where to go, despite never having explored these woods before. She explained that her people had detailed maps of the entire area from previous observations. The forest was thick with underbrush, making progress difficult. Zach worried about leaving tracks that the agents could follow, but Mira assured him the extraction would be complete before they returned from the diversion site. After an hour of hiking, they reached the clearing, a wide open space surrounded by tall pine trees. Mira checked her device. 2 more hours until arrival, she said. We should take cover at the edge of the clearing and wait. They sat beneath a large tree watching the sky. Zach felt strange knowing an alien spacecraft would soon land here to take Mira away. How will your people react to knowing you lived with humans all this time? He asked. Will you get in trouble? Mira considered the question. It is unprecedented. There are protocols against direct contact. But my situation was unique. Survival required adaptation. The Science Council will want every detail of my experience. My interactions with your uncle and with you. Will you tell them everything? Everything relevant. Yes, Mira said, watching his face. Why do you ask? Zach shrugged. Just wondering if aliens have secrets too. Things they don't tell their bosses. Mira laughed, a musical sound. I am a scientist. Zach, data is sacred, but interpretation of that data allows for some flexibility. I will emphasize the necessity of the situation and the exceptional nature of the humans who helped me. As they waited, Zach realized how much his life had changed in just a few days. He had gone from a simple store clerk to someone involved in first contact with an advanced alien civilization. He had learned things about the universe most humans could only dream about. Do you think they will let me go? Zach asked suddenly. When your ship arrives, will they take me too? For study, or something? Mira looked surprised. No. That would violate our highest protocols. You have helped me. You are not a specimen to be collected. The existence of this contact will be classified. Only the highest levels of our government will know. But those agents know something is going on. Zach pointed out. They will question me when you leave. I will be the only one they can find. Mira touched his arm gently. Her skin felt warmer than human temperature. There is a solution to that as well, she said. The retrieval team will bring memory modification technology. It can selectively remove recent memories. It is painless and leaves no trace. The agents will forget their investigation. You will remember helping your uncle, but not the details of my presence. Zack pulled his arm away. I don't want that. I don't want to forget you. This whole experience. It's the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. Mira looked troubled. Our protocols are clear. No human can retain knowledge of direct contact. It threatens the stability of your development as a species. That sounds like an excuse, Zack said, standing up. You erase our memories so we can't learn from you, so we stay primitive while you watch us from above. It is not like that. Mira said, rising to face him. Contact between worlds must happen on a global scale. With proper preparation, individual contacts create imbalances. We have seen it happen on other worlds. The results can be catastrophic. Zack was about to argue further when a sound caught their attention. A low humming coming from above. They looked up to see the air shimmering. A dark shape appearing as if from nowhere. A spacecraft about the size of a small bus, hovering silently above the clearing. The ship descended slowly, landing in the center of the clearing. A door slid open on its side. Two figures emerged, both clearly, Lirani like Mira, but wearing what looked like uniforms. Their skin colors were different shades of purple and blue, their movements precise and efficient. Mira stepped forward from the tree line. Zack hesitated, then followed her. The two Lirani approached them, their faces showing surprise at seeing a human. This is Zack, Mira explained. He is the nephew of the human who saved me. He helped complete the communication device. The taller of the two Lirani nodded. This human has knowledge of our existence. Yes, Mira admitted. He has been essential to my survival and recovery. The Lirani looked at each other, communicating silently. Then the taller one spoke again. Protocol. Requires memory adjustment before departure. I have explained this, Mira said, but he is resistant. Zack stepped forward. I don't want to forget, this is too important. The second Lirani spoke, its voice deeper. Protocol exists for protection, both yours and ours. Without it, complications arise. What complications? Zack demanded. The knowledge you possess would make you a target from your own government, the Lirani explained. Your life would be in danger, and knowledge of our technology in the wrong hands could be misused. Mira turned to Zack. Please understand, this is for your protection as much as ours. The memory adjustment is gentle. You will not feel loss, only a slight confusion about certain details of recent days. Zack looked at the ship, at the Lirani, at Mira. He felt torn between wanting to remember and understanding their concerns, but before he could respond, they heard the sound of engines in the distance. The agents surrounded Zack, their weapons pointed at him. A woman stepped forward. She wore a dark suit like the others, but her authority was clear from the way the other agents deferred to her, hands where we can see them. She ordered. Zack raised his hand slowly. He felt strangely calm considering the circumstances. What are you doing out here? The woman demanded. What was that energy signature we detected? Zack considered his options. He could lie, claim he knew nothing. But these people had technology. They had tracked the signal. They knew something unusual had happened, just taking a walk, he said, keeping his voice steady. The woman stared at him clearly, not believing him. We detected an unusual energy signature in this area, she said. We're investigating. A potential threat to national security. You need to come with us. Two agents approached Zack, one on each side. They patted him down, finding nothing suspicious. Then they led him to one of the SUVs. The woman sat across from him as they drove back, toward the cabin. My name is Agent Carol Lane. She said I work for a special division of Homeland Security. We monitor unusual activities, unusual energy signatures. We know your Uncle Daniel Moore was involved in unauthorized research. We know he harbored a foreign entity at his property. Foreign entity, Zack repeated. That sounds serious. Agent Lane watched him closely. We have been monitoring the cabin since your uncle's death. We know you inherited the property. We know you have been staying there, and we know something or someone was there with you. Zack remained silent. You have two options here, Agent Lane said. Cooperate, tell us everything you know about what your uncle was hiding, or face charges for aiding a potential threat to national security. They arrived at the cabin. Agents were already inside, searching everywhere. Zack watched as they moved furniture, examined walls, looking for hidden compartments. One agent was using a handheld device that emitted a soft beeping sound. That won't find anything. Zack thought the laboratory entrance was protected by technology beyond what they had. What are you looking for exactly? Zack asked. Agent Lane ignored the question. Instead, she pointed to a chair. Sit, she ordered. Zack sat down, wondering what would happen. Next, he thought about Mira, about her ship disappearing into the sky. She was safe now, beyond their reach. That was what mattered. The agent with the scanning device approached. Agent Lane speaking quietly. Zack caught fragments, negative results. No, anomalous readings. He smiled inwardly. His uncle had built the hiding place. Well, Agent Lane turned back to Zack. We know something was here, she said. We detected signals, communications unlike anything we've seen before. Did your uncle build some kind of transmitter? Where is it now? Zack decided on a partial truth. My uncle was an astronomer, he said. He built equipment to study space. Maybe what you detected was one of his experiments. Agent Lane leaned forward. Daniel Moore was not just an astronomer. She said he was a physicist who worked for the government until 15 years ago. Then he suddenly resigned, moved to this remote location, cut off contact with colleagues, started ordering unusual materials, components that could be used to build advanced technology. Zack shrugged. I barely knew him. I just inherited this place. Another agent entered the room. Agent Lane. We found something. Everyone followed the agent to the kitchen. He pointed to a small device attached beneath a cabinet. It looked like a simple metal box with a small antenna. What is it? Zack asked, genuinely curious. Agent Lane examined it without touching it. Some kind of monitoring device, she said. But not one of ours. The design is unusual. They found similar devices throughout. The cabin, small, unobtrusive pieces of technology hidden in corners under furniture behind books. Zack realized his uncle must have placed them there to monitor for intruders, or maybe they were Mira's technology. The search continued for hours. Agents examined every inch of the cabin and the surrounding property. They brought in more equipment, scanning devices, ground-penetrating radar, but they found nothing beyond the small monitoring devices. No sign of the hidden laboratory. No evidence of Mira or her ship. The entrance remained undetected, just as Mira had said it would. Finally, as evening approached, Agent Lane seemed to reach a decision. She sat across from Zack again, her expression frustrated. We're taking you in for further questioning, she said. And this property is now under government control. Wait, what? Zack protested. This is my property. My uncle left it to me. You can't just take it. Agent Lane handed him a document. We can under the National Security Act. This property may contain technology or information vital to national security. It will be thoroughly investigated. Zack was led back to an SUV. Two agents drove him away from the cabin toward town. He watched through the window as more government vehicles arrived. Teams of people in hazmat suits began unloading equipment. This was bad. If they kept searching, eventually they might find something his uncle missed. Some evidence of Mira or her technology. They drove for nearly an hour, arriving at a nondescript building. On the outskirts of the nearest city, Zack was led inside through security checkpoints to a small room with a table and chairs. A classic interrogation room just like in the movies. Zack sat alone for what felt like hours, his thoughts racing. He needed a story, something they might believe. Something that would explain what they had detected without revealing the truth about Mira. Finally, the door opened. Agent Lane entered along with an older man in a military uniform. He had gray hair and a stern expression. This is General Harris, Agent Lane said. He oversees our division. The general sat across from Zack, studying him. Son, he said, we know your uncle was involved in something unusual, something potentially dangerous to national security. We need You to tell us everything you know." Zach took a deep breath. My uncle was obsessed with space, with the possibility of life on other planets. He said, keeping his voice steady. He built equipment to search for signals from space. I think he was trying to communicate with aliens. The General and Agent Lane exchanged glances. When I inherited the cabin, I found his equipment. Zach continued. I was curious. I turned it on. Maybe that's what you detected. Some kind of signal from his equipment. Did you find any evidence that he succeeded in communicating with extraterrestrial intelligence? General Harris asked, his voice serious. Zach laughed, trying to sound genuinely amused. Aliens. No, I don't think so. It was just my uncle's hobby. His obsession, I think. He was probably a little crazy living out there alone for so long. The general leaned forward. What about the monitoring devices we found? Zach shrugged. My uncle was paranoid. He thought the government was watching him. Maybe he built those to detect intruders. The questioning continued for hours. They asked the same questions in different ways, trying to catch him in a lie. But Zach stuck to his story. His uncle was eccentric, obsessed with aliens, built equipment to search for them. Nothing more. Nothing about an actual alien living in a hidden laboratory. Nothing about a ship coming to take her home. Eventually, they seemed to hit a wall. They had no real evidence, just unusual energy readings and some strange devices. And Zach was just a 19-year-old grocery store clerk who had inherited a cabin from his eccentric uncle. Not exactly a national security threat. You can go for now, Agent Lane said finally. But don't leave town. We may have more questions. And the cabin remains off limits while we investigate. Zach was driven to a motel in town. The agents made it clear he was still being watched. He checked into a room wondering what would happen next. What would they find at the cabin? Would they eventually discover the hidden laboratory? If they did, what then? That night, Zach could not sleep. He sat by the window looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there was Mira traveling back to her world. He wondered what she was thinking, if she remembered him, if she would tell her people about their time together. The next morning, Zach walked to a diner for breakfast. The television was on, showing a news report about strange lights seen in the sky the previous night. Witnesses described seeing an unusual aircraft moving silently, then disappearing. In a flash of light, the government was calling it a weather phenomenon. Possibly ball lightning. Zach smiled to himself, eating his pancakes. So others had seen the ship. It hadn't been completely invisible, and now the government was scrambling to explain it away. After breakfast, he walked around town, not sure what to do. He couldn't return to the cabin. He didn't want to go back to his apartment above the hardware store. He felt stuck in limbo. His old life no longer seemed to fit, but his new knowledge had no place in the world either. As he passed the local library, he decided to go inside. Maybe reading would distract him. He wandered through the shelves, finding himself in the science fiction section. Books about aliens, space travel, first contact. He picked one up, flipping through it. The author's imagination was creative, but nothing like the reality he had experienced. "Excuse me," a voice said behind him. Zach turned to see a woman in her 30s with short brown hair and glasses. She was looking at him with unusual intensity. "Are you Zach Moore?" she asked. "Yeah," Zach said cautiously. "Who are you?" "My name is Linda Beth. She said I worked with your Uncle Daniel years ago before he left the university. I need to talk to you." "Somewhere. Private." Zach hesitated. Was this another government agent? Someone trying to trick him into revealing what he knew? "It's about his research," she added. About what he found, Zach decided to take a chance. They went to a quiet coffee shop, sitting in a corner booth away from other customers. 6 months had passed since Mira left. Zach had returned to a version of his old life. He still worked at the grocery store, still lived in his small apartment, but everything had changed. He saw the world differently now, knowing what he knew. The government had eventually released the cabin back to him after finding nothing conclusive. Their investigation had turned up strange energy readings, unusual components, but no smoking gun, no proof of alien contact. The hidden laboratory remained undiscovered, protected by technology beyond their understanding. Zach visited the cabin on weekends. Accessing the laboratory through the device his uncle had left him, he studied the information Mira had left behind, learning about her world, her people, their science, their history. It was like attending the most amazing school with the most incredible textbooks. Linda Beth had become his friend and ally. Her background in astronomy and physics helped him understand the more complex aspects of Lirani technology. They met regularly, always careful to avoid attention. She never told anyone else about Mira, respecting the promise she had made to Zach. But something was happening, something neither of them had expected. The small monitoring devices his uncle had placed around the cabin were activating more frequently, detecting signals similar to the ones sent by Mira's ship. Linda analyzed them, concluding they were some kind of coded transmissions. Someone is watching, Zach told her as they sat in the hidden laboratory. One day I think they might come back. Linda looked up from the computer screen. Do you think it's Mira? Zach shrugged. I don't know. The Lirani Council might have forbidden further contact. But these signals, they have to mean something. They had been working together to build a receiver based on designs in Mira's files. It was complicated, requiring materials almost impossible to find, but they made progress slowly, Zach using the remaining money from his inheritance to purchase components. One night as winter settled over the forest, Zach was alone in the cabin. He had been studying Lirani language files, trying to understand their written symbols. The fire was burning low when he heard it. A familiar humming sound coming from outside. Zach rushed to the window, his heart pounding. There in the clearing behind the cabin, a shimmer in the air. The same effect he had seen when Mira's rescue ship arrived. He grabbed a coat and ran outside. The air was cold, his breath forming clouds. The humming grew louder, the shimmer more pronounced. Then suddenly a small craft appeared, not as large as the rescue ship, more like a shuttle designed for one or two people. The craft landed silently. A door slid open and a figure emerged. Mira. She looked the same, her purple skin glowing slightly in the moonlight, her amber eyes finding him immediately. She wore what appeared to be a uniform with insignia he did not recognize. Zach approached slowly, hardly believing she was real. Mira, he said. Is it really you? She smiled. I have returned, she said, her voice just as he remembered it. Musical with that untraceable accent, but how? Why the council? Mira gestured toward the cabin. We should go inside. It is not safe to remain in the open, once inside the warmth of the cabin. Mira looked around, taking in the familiar surroundings. Everything appears the same, she said. You have maintained it well. Why are you here? Zach asked, still stunned by her presence. I thought your people forbid contact. Mira sat down by the fire. Much has changed since my return, she explained. My experiences here with you and your uncle. They were documented, studied. The council was divided. Some wanted to maintain isolation from Earth. Others argued that selective contact might be beneficial, and they sent you back. Not exactly, Mira said, looking slightly uncomfortable. I volunteered for a new program, an extended observation mission. But in truth, I manipulated the selection process. I wanted to return. I wanted to see you again. Zach felt a rush of emotion. She had come back for him. Why? Many reasons, Mira said, as if reading his thoughts. Your uncle showed me kindness. You showed me friendship. I learned more about humans from you both than all our previous observations combined. And I found I missed this place. This world, its wildness, its freedom. But isn't this dangerous? Zach asked. What if the government detects your ship? The new craft has improved cloaking technology, Mira explained. And I have permission to be here. This time, my mission is official. A cultural exchange of sorts. I am to learn about humans by limited interaction. And my superiors believe you are an ideal subject for this exchange. Given your prior knowledge and demonstrated trustworthiness, Zach laughed. So am an experiment? Now, not an experiment, Mira corrected. A colleague, you know about us. We know you can keep our secret. The Council approved limited technological exchange, nothing that would drastically alter your development, but enough to advance certain fields. She reached into a pocket of her uniform, pulling out a small crystal-like device. This contains medical information, she said, treatments for several human diseases, including some your scientists have not yet cured. It is coded in a way that will appear as a natural discovery. Not alien technology. Zack stared at the device. This could save lives. That is the intention, Mira said. And there is more information about sustainable energy methods, compatible with your current technology, but more efficient. This knowledge can help address your planet's environmental challenges. Is this why you came back to give us technology? Partly, Mira admitted. But there is a personal reason as well. She hesitated, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. During my time here, I developed what you might call attachment to this place, to humans, to you. Specifically, Zack felt his heart beat faster. What are you saying? On my world, we do not express emotions as humans do, Mira explained. We value logic, reason, order. But living here, experiencing your way of life, it changed me. I began to feel things my people rarely acknowledge. She moved closer to him. I requested this assignment because I wanted to continue what began here. She said, I wanted to explore these feelings further, to see if there could be more between us. Zack was stunned. Is that even possible? We're so different. Mira smiled. Different, yes, but perhaps not incompatible. Your uncle believed connection transcends biology. He told me once that understanding between different minds is the true miracle of the universe. Not just the technology or the science, but the sharing of perspective. What happens now? Zack asked. I will remain here. For 1 Earth year. Mira said the Council has approved this duration for the initial exchange. After that, we will evaluate, continue, adjust. My ship can remain cloaked nearby. The laboratory beneath this cabin can serve as my research facility, and us, that Mira said, taking his hand in hers, is something we discover together, one day at a time. Over the next week, Zack introduced Mira to his world properly, not as a hidden alien but as a visitor. Learning human customs, meeting Linda, who was overjoyed to finally meet the being she had heard so much about. They were careful. Of course, Mira could pass for human with the right clothing and a hat to cover her ears. Her purple skin explained away as a rare condition. She accompanied him to town occasionally, learning about human social interactions firsthand. She found everything fascinating, from grocery shopping to watching movies. The simple activities Zack took for granted were subjects of intense study. For her, Linda helped them set up secure communication channels, using modified versions of the monitoring devices to create a network only they could access. The knowledge Mira brought with her was carefully documented, prepared for gradual release to the scientific community through channels that would not reveal their true source. And their relationship grew. Across the differences between their species, they found connection, understanding. Mira learned about human emotions, experiencing them more deeply herself. Zack learned about the Lirani perspective, gaining wisdom from their ancient culture. Their conversations lasted hours, sometimes all night, neither of them tiring of learning from the other. One evening, as they sat watching the stars from the cabin porch, Zack asked the question that had been on his mind. Do you ever regret it? Coming back, taking this risk. Mira looked at him, her amber eyes reflecting the starlight. Never, she said. On my world, everything is ordered, predictable, each day like the one before. We live long lives, but they lack the intensity, the bright burning passion of human existence. You live so briefly but so fully. Each moment matters to you in a way my people have forgotten. She touched his face gently, her fingers warm against his skin. In my long life, I have visited many worlds, seen wonders beyond your imagination, but nothing has moved me like this planet, like its people. Like you. Zack leaned closer to her, Their differences seem to matter less and less each day. What happens when your year is up? Mira smiled. My mission may be extended if the Council determines it valuable, the exchange of knowledge beneficial. I believe they will. The reports I send, the information gathered, it shows promise, and if they don't extend it. Then Mira said simply, I may have to make a choice between returning to my world or remaining on yours. The implications of that statement hung in the air between them. A member of an advanced alien civilization, choosing to stay on Earth, choosing a human over her own kind. It seemed impossible. And yet, I would choose you, Mira said, answering his unspoken question. If it came to that, I would stay.